Hello, my loves. I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel, where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And I want to talk today about how the narcissist can't look at themselves, so they project everything that they're doing wrong onto you, right? So if you've been the victim, target, of narcissistic abuse, you'll probably be quite familiar with how confusing it is that the blame of everything is being put on you by the narcissist, and not only that, they project on you everything that they are, right? So if they're ignoring you, if they are lying to you, if they are manipulating you and you call it out, very often they'll just accuse you of doing it, or they will, even if you're not saying anything about it, start accusing you of things that you are not doing to distort your reality and make you think that you're them, right? They completely distort your reality. And when a narcissist accuses you of something, a lot of the time it's a confession from them. They're actually confessing what they're actually doing to you. But the biggest challenge that a lot of people who have been through this go through is that, one, we're convinced that we're to blame, right? Which is why I teach that, like, so much of what I've learned from years of study and teaching in spirituality and personal development is so helpful, but is also limiting to a lot of people who have been through narcissistic abuse, because a lot of personal development and self-help will teach you, like, everyone's just reflecting you, and you've got to take complete accountability for how the world shows up around you, which on one level is true, right? We can only be responsible for ourselves, and to take control of our lives is to be aware of the impact we're having on our reality. But a narcissist is a particular species, if you like. It's a particular entity where actually, like, if you apply those principles of forgiveness and what people think of as forgiveness and empathy and understanding to them, their behavior will just get worse and they'll exploit you further and further, right? You have no hope of resolution, connection, intimacy, happiness, fulfillment with a narcissist. With other people, you may do, right? So a lot of what we learn in self-help and personal development there's truth in it, massive truth in it, but it depends on who we're dealing with in the universe, right? And so a lot of us have been taught, to take feedback from people, to take constructive criticism and consider it. But with a narcissist, they're just projecting all their shite onto you. So much as, right, yes, to some extent, the world does reflect back to us, I believe. Like, definitely our subconscious thoughts, definitely our past traumas to be healed, definitely. But beyond that, not everyone is responding to you. Some people, like a narcissist, has their own agenda and are projecting on you to completely distort your mind. And, this is the reason why so many people think they're the narcissist. Yeah. And that's partly because as well, that when you are antagonized and tormented and ignored and emotionally neglected and treated like you don't exist and you don't matter for too long, at some point you're probably going to react in a way that is out of character, out of authenticity, that you'll probably regret because it's taken you away from yourself, and is a little bit like how the narcissist would blow up. Apart from it's completely different because you've been pushed. And a narcissist was the pusher, right? And when a narcissist is angry, nasty, unreasonable, just completely, abandons you in your emotions or does terrible, malicious, horrible things to you, right? They weren't provoked by you. Yeah, they did it intentionally, knowing what they were doing because they knew it would hurt you. Full stop, the end. When you did it in reactive abuse, you did it because you were just like, it's quite difficult for the human being to be pushed. A human that gets pushed too hard tends to, at some point, have a reaction, right? Two different things. And like I teach about, the silent treatment and going no contact are two completely different things. Why? Because everything a narcissist does is an act of aggression. So when a narcissist gives you the silent treatment, it's passive aggressive. It's an aggressive way of telling you that you no longer get any attention or love or decency or communication because you've done something they don't like. Perhaps you put a boundary in. Perhaps you actually let them know that you do exist, right? Or state is something, a need, or, something reasonable, right? They get to punish you for that in their mind. But when a victim of narcissistic abuse uses the silent treatment or what they call stonewalling, grey rock method, it's a form of defense. It's because your nervous system, your emotional well-being is being challenged to a point where you can't take any more, right? Completely different, right? So if you're using some of these strategies because you need to defend yourself and protect yourself, that's very different to what a narcissist does. Unless you're purposely tormenting someone when you can already see they're in pain, right? There is nothing narcissistic about you reacting, actually, even if it is in a way that you'd rather you didn't, even if you do erupt and you are angry, right? So the hardest thing for people who have been so brainwashed by narcissists is to keep hold of what the truth is, right? Because a narcissist sets up a huge web of flying monkeys, enablers, illusions around them that reinforce the reality they want you to believe. And so coming home into your own soul, into your own truth, knowing what really happened, right? Knowing what's real, and knowing that, you are being projected on by the narcissist so that you think that actually you're like them, right? Because if they can make you think you're at their level, then guess what? You're taken away from yourself, you're taken away from your soul, you're disconnected from soul, which is what they want, your authenticity, your complete power. They're eroding your self-esteem, and it's part of the game, right? So if you're wondering if you're the narcissist, right? If you're wondering why it's crazy making some of the most, the stuff that they do that makes us really snap is often when they are projecting at such a high level, when we're trying so hard to get it right. So many of us are trying to either fix the narcissist, fix ourselves, get it right, but you're actually playing in an impossible game. So what I want you to know is stop trying to fix them. Stop trying to fix yourself as much as coming home into the truth, right? Into what's really going on, how it's making you feel. Understand that if you're here asking these questions, watching these kind of videos, right? You're definitely not the narcissist, or very unlikely to be. Do you pick up toxic traits in these relationships? Yes. And I've talked about that before. Yeah. Very difficult to be around highly toxic manipulators without picking up some toxic traits in ourselves. But the toxic traits we pick up are often just strategies for survival, and they don't have malicious intent, right? Even people pleasing, like I teach all the time, like people pleasing is actually toxic because you're not being authentic and you're not being true to what you want and need. You're being what you think someone needs you to be in order to be liked, validated, safe, secure, or whatever, right? Which is a survival mechanism, but it's still a manipulation, and it's still toxic because you're not being your real self, and you're not speaking for what you want and need, right? But that's got a good intent. But when the narcissist attacks you or ignores you or is giving you silent treatment or aggression or all the other gaslighting you, all the horrible things they do, it's got malicious intent. It's designed to put you in what they think is your place, which is basically a source to them, a battery source to them, a life force energy support source to them, and to get you emotionally broken enough, right, that you have such low self-worth and such low value that you'll do whatever they say because you're so desperate for love, support, survival, approval, and safety, which, once you're a mess with a narcissist, you believe comes from them. So if you want to join my Sovereign program, see the links, because I help you with all of this stuff. But just know, if you're watching this, you're not the narcissist, and the narcissist projects everything they are on you to make you think you're like them. What's that going to do to your subconscious? Make you think maybe you belong with them. No, you don't. Lots of love, guys. I'll speak to you soon.